engaging celebrity interviews, exciting updates from Christian filmmakers, movie reviews so you can choose your movies wisely, and so much more here on Faith on Film with Isaac Hernandez and Holly McClure.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Faith on Film. Holly, we have a very special program today because it's all about family, don't we? Why don't you tell us why I said that?
It is very much about families. We are celebrating the movie Unsung Hero, which is about Joel and Luke Smallbone, who came over with their family. It's about Rebecca St. James and how she got a rise in her career, and David Smallbone, who is the father who brought them all over. It's a movie dedicated to families, and especially the mom, who is the unsung hero. And I had a chance to interview Joel and Luke at the NRB Convention, and it was an amazing interview. You're going to get to hear it. It's fun to hear the insight behind the scenes about it.
And it's not only about a family, but actually the entire, well, I don't know about the entire family, but several of the family members were involved in the film. I know one of them was a director, another one actually played his dad, and of course, Rebecca St. James, whose this story is kind of about, has a part in it as well, doesn't she?
Yeah, in fact, Joel played his father, David, and he looks even like David even looked. Luke directed it, as well as produced it, and they both directed actually and produced it. Yeah. So it was a movie that involved the whole family. Even the little sister had a bit part in it. You're right, and it was really fun. Also, guys, you may look for, and I'm going to read off the name, Lucas Black. He plays the neighbor and he has that Texas accent. Y'all will recognize him. I think he was in NCSI and all these other shows. He's been on movies for years. He plays a neighbor who actually, through him, there's a miracle, really, of God that that the family encounters when they come to America. Candace Cameron plays a wife in that. And there's Jonathan Jackson. So there's a lot of other stars. So maybe you'll see him in the trailer.
Well, let's take a look at the trailer.
Okay, stay close. Let's go.
How y'all doing?
Are y'all from England?
Australia. Australia. Wish I had an accent.
Dad, I wrote a song. Thought maybe we could ask for an audition.
Oh, that's great, honey. Let's take it one step at a time. Okay, tells me you're a promoter. You know someone looking for one. Well, I may know somebody who should be.
She's been given a beautiful voice. It's a miracle.
She's a special one, son. Your family, they're not in the way. They are the way.
There's no food. And we're almost out of money. We need to make some changes. Kids, we need your help. This is everything we have. And sometimes it's going to grow and sometimes it will shrink. But it cannot be allowed to disappear.
I wonder if he's right. Maybe I'm not meant to sing.
Or maybe you're not meant to sing other people's songs. It's going to be dangerous and scary. And giving up, giving in, it's not an option.
Whatever your dream is, I know you can achieve it.
Please welcome my big sister.
My dream is to be like you. It always has been.
I want a record deal.
So do I.
Yeah, well, boys, get in line.
So excited to have you guys on the show and talking about this amazing film, which I saw and love. And it's just really a labor of love, actually, I'm sure, from both of you.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. There is a labor in
It is
those
a
legs.
labor of love. It really is. And your mother, the unsung hero. Give a little description so if people don't know what it's about. Because unsung hero, who is the hero?
Yeah. Well, we originally were born in Australia. Hopefully you can still tell. Born in Australia. We come to America when we were young lads. And our story really kind of starts in America, where things got really, really difficult. We were sleeping on beds made out of clothes. Weren't always quite sure where the next meal was going to come from. Went through all sorts of difficult trials. Obviously, our dad was unemployed for a while coming here. And I've told a version of that story on stage for many, many years, and had a lot of people say, hey, you should write a book. And the truth is, we're homeschooled, so we don't read or write very well. And so, we were like, well, I mean, maybe we can make a movie. And so pitched that idea to a producer friend in LA about nearly 4 years ago now. And the heartbeat really behind the film is really, I guess, a thesis statement for you is Mother Teresa says, if you want to change the world, go home and love your family. And our mother was in that time of going through enormous obstacles and enormous challenges, was the person who did all the things that nobody sees, but that matter significantly in every person's heart and every person's soul. And that's essentially kind of the heartbeat behind wanting to make this film.
Is she still the heartbeat today?
I mean, she's obviously, it's 30 years on. The film was really chronicles 1991 to about 1992 or 3. And so her role in our lives, in life in general, has really shifted. And we're really proud of her. A couple of years ago, we've been encouraging her to get into documenting it on her own, writing it down, sharing about it, because there's so many young mums and women who could be inspired by it. And she's a little bit of an introvert, but she's a powerful
people
woman.
Listen when she speaks.
They do.
Yes.
They do.
Yeah.
And she's really stepped into that role very gracefully. And I think we're both very proud of her, yeah.
You were the producer of the film, and you directed and starred as your dad. So did the idea come from both of you thinking we've got to do this for years and years? Was it a quick thing? You said you've been talking about it on stage forever. When did you decide let's make a film about it?
Yeah, well, we made a film in 2016 called Priceless. And in some cases, I've often joked that, like, if you're stupid enough to make one film, you should do it again to correct all your wrongs,
Yes, yeah.
And one of the producers on that film had become a really, really dear friend, and he just always was joking about, hey man, when are we going to work on another project? When are we going to work on another project? And we didn't really have anything for him per se when he would joke about it. And then we were working on some music, which is in some cases we like to refer to as our day job. And we'd written this song called UNSUNG HERO. And it was talking about our mom and just how much she meant to us. And one day, I don't even think I ran it by you. I just kind of was like, hey, he's probably going to get shot down. Why don't I give him a call? And I called him up and said, hey man, what do you think about just putting this into development? Let's just develop a script together. Let's just see where the story could go, because it's just, I've told it so many times that it matters to people. It impacts people. And I think those are the stories that we should tell on film, is the ones that you see, whether or not you have a beautiful film or not. Does the story just sit on itself, sit by itself? And the answer was yes on that. And so it just kind of, one of those random phone calls that actually eventuates, where a lot of times you're making phone calls, pitching ideas, and nothing ever comes of it. But this one was one that something happened.
It was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
2020, height of the pandemic.
Right, yes, exactly. Okay, directing and starring. Is it a hard thing to do, both, or did it come easier for you? Because you, as artists, musical artists, you're always directing and producing yourselves,
Exactly.
right?
That's right.
Isn't it?
Holly,
Because,
that's exactly what we've said to people, is it's so second nature to what we both do, because in music, you're kind of a one-stop shop, or a two-stop shop in this case, where you're the writers, you are the performers, you're the conductors, you're the one behind the scenes, you're the marketers. And so if you look at film, a lot of those roles are delineated, but we've always approached it so holistically. We don't really know how to just sort of attach ourselves to a thing and just do one job. And so it was actually very second nature to get into the script writing level with Richard Ramsey and co-screenwrite it, and then co-direct it with him, and then Luke producing, get in front of the camera, hop behind the camera. I think it actually, you have such a deep understanding of what you're trying to create. And you're able to lead people in that, even down to, there's 6 kids in this film. So instead of running in and sort of saying, do this, do this, do this, and then running out and sort of letting them try it, you get to be in the environment with them and sort of almost coaching them and working through the scene with them in real time. And so I'm really grateful that everyone trusted me, to step into these multiple roles. It wasn't by choice, it was actually out of necessity. We'd approached a few other folks, including our brother Ben, who's a director. He was on another project at the time and couldn't do it. And so, but it was a real special, there was sort of a Zen state of flow that we all got into. It was like, oh, this is working. Yeah.
And how did you cast your mother? So that was an important role to cast,
terrifying.
right?
Terrifying. Yeah, we it's a lot of miracles. The film portrays a lot of miracles on screen. So many miracles behind the screen as well, and she was one of them. We had both pretty strongly, and I'd felt strongly as a director that the woman that was cast needed to genuinely be a mum, because so much of it deals in motherhood. That she needed to be Australian, because we didn't want the accent to get in the way of the honesty of it. I mean, even down to like her being a brunette or like her height, we had to kind of all chart it out.
Yes.
And our long-suffering Beverly Holloway, who's our casting director,
I love her.
she was just like, you're gonna have to choose someone. We got 10 days before the production. We'd had multiple actresses that we thought were gonna be able to make it work. And for a multitude of reasons, thank God in the end, they didn't work. And so I literally got online and looked at a top 100 Australian actresses. Funnily enough, our sister Rebecca is like buried in there somewhere.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's great.
And there was a woman kind of midway down named Daisy Betts. And so we started doing a bit of research. She's a mum of 4, married, lives in Australia. And then obviously the very next thing becomes, do they have a visa? Because she's got to get on a plane in a few days.
Or a passport, yeah.
Or a passport, excuse me.
Yes, yeah.
And so we found out that on a whim, about 6 months earlier, she was in Hawaii, and her friend was like, you should just renew your passport, just to have it handy. So she'd renewed it. And then we're like, how are you going to leave your children for like 5 weeks? And she said, well, I already was going to produce a project, so my mum and dad were already coming into Brisbane.
It's amazing.
And so we're just going to ask them to extend their stay. So it was like, we made our plans, but God had really ordered our steps, and she was one of the great gifts to the production.
Oh, it was. I'm surprised Rebecca didn't play her, but was it a different age or something, or she just didn't want to?
Well, that would get pretty weird, I think.
Oh, that's true. I'm sorry. I
will say,
that.
it's terrifying to admit, but at one point, I think someone sort of threw it out, and we all went, no.
I'm so sorry. I realized I said that. Yeah, that would have been awkward. Okay, anyway. Well, it was one. Okay, let's talk about the music, because there's the music in this, the songs in this. Let's talk about Unsung Hero, the song, and then there's the song that Rebecca sings.
Yeah. I mean, look, the music is that's, we joked about it earlier. That's kind of our day job, and I think that even the film, the music in that era, those early 90s, songs that are just so potent and powerful, you listen to them and they take you back, and you're reminiscing about the memories you made when those songs were going on. So we always wanted to make sure the music throughout the film had this very identifiable, like, I remember those early 90s songs. Yes. And then when it comes to Unsung Hero, I mean, ironically enough, it came before.
They were on parallel tracks.
They were on different paths.
But we never connected them.
Yeah.
And the film and the song.
Wow.
The song was, when we would play it for people after we had written it, it was just incredibly potent and powerful. And so that was, I think, part of what inspired the whole idea of the film, was like, hey, we've got this story over here. It's kind of lingered over our heads a little bit. Is there anything that should be done about that story? And then obviously when the song came, it was hey, maybe this is the moment to kind of do something, obviously connect them a little bit. And then Rebecca singing You Make Everything Beautiful in the film is a song that actually was on a record of hers quite a number of years ago, and Richard Ramsey, who co-wrote and directed the film with Joel, just was really drawn to it. And I think he thought it was going to be a song that was just kind of a placeholder, and we would change it maybe later on. But it's one of those songs that she had recorded that was always one that we felt like was more special than the attention that it got, if that makes sense. And so it stayed and still is one of those special songs when you hear it that I think will impact a lot of people.
Okay. Watching a story about you guys growing up, what was your favorite scene in the movie, or do you have a favorite or two? Looking back, because I mean, it's okay. I'm telling you what, I love the little moments. It's just weird. I love the mom moments, like when she'd say, "Okay, let's go on an adventure," and she took you to the park, and she knew things were desperate. She tried to create this amazing environment. I was a single mom of 3 kids. For me, it was like, oh, those are the sweet moments when you have to kind of muster and be the mom and make it special for kids. So for me, that was one of those things I loved.
I think it was one of my favorites. I think what makes, I think, a good parent is you've got all sorts of different personalities in children, right? You never know what you got. And in some cases, as a parent, you might be more inclined to raise a 15-year-old boy, or you might be more inclined, the talents that are required for those age. But the truth is, they don't come out 15. You don't get to raise a 8-year-old girl at all times. They grow and they change. And I think what makes parents good parents is when struggle hits, who are you teaching your kids to be? And I think that scene specifically, we call that the burn the ships scene. The speech that she gives is maybe not word for word the things that Mom said, but the essence of what she was teaching us in that moment is basically been our whole lives. My mom has always been very, very willing to basically say, the way that I'm living is on display, and I'm going to do my best to display a life that hopefully you want to learn from, that you want to be taught from. And so I think in a scene like that is actually one of my favorites as well. Every time I get to that moment, it's like you feel like your eyes might be sweating a little bit. I
got teary-eyed when I was watching. I'm like, oh, because it touched things.
You.
Yeah, especially as a mom, and as parents, with your own kids. But you're teaching. And she could have had such a bad attitude. She could have been so mad.
She had every right. She had every right. I
was like, oh man, because most women go, well, you brought me here, and then the kids see it, and it could turn out so differently. It doesn't mean it didn't happen, but what we saw on screen. I'm just saying that was such a testimony to the way that her heart, and she was that unsung hero, made that special. All right, well, why should people go see this movie? It's for all ages, right? It's not just for adults. It's not,
Well, you hit the nail on the head. I think that's, we've dubbed April 26th the release day. We've dubbed it Family Day.
Oh, good.
You got Mother's Day, you got Father's Day, but we're like, let's create a new holiday, at least for 2024. So I think you've said it well, Holly. This is a film not just for mums, not just for dads, not just for daughters, but this is a film for families. And I don't even think, I think this is a faith film, no doubt, but I think this is first a film about how we all are part of a family. We are all sons and daughters. Many of us parents, and how do we find new ways to inspire each other through true stories, through our parents and our sister's story in this case, to rise above, and when the struggles of life hit, to not disband, but to actually band together, to not fight with each other, but to fight for each other. And that was our experience as kids. And I think the reason that we're able to collaborate today, and King Country sort of as a family band or collaborate on this film, is, interestingly enough, you can directly correlate it to the journey that we walked through as kids and the way we fought for each other and built something together. And so we're thrilled. We're thankful for Lionsgate. We're thankful for Kingdom. We're thankful for all the 90s, the great 90s songs, and ultimately grateful for our parents in taking a massive leap of faith in coming to the States. So.
And don't you think, in these day and times, when it is tumultuous, every day you look at the news and it's a tumultuous world, it really is. The world is getting to the point where people don't feel safe, and families are, having a hard time. But I think this is a great, like you said, message about where does it all begins at home, and it centers around the family. And I think it's an important time to draw families together, and I think that's what this film does, and I think it's so needed. Are your fans for your music excited to see this movie? You guys been talking about concerts?
Look, we get the feeling. Yeah, we've done every tour that we've done.
We've been teasing it.
If our people don't know about it,
they're like, we've been teasing it since 2022. So they're like, please, can we just see the movie?
They want to see the
already?
movie. That's right. Yeah.
Are you showing scenes of it at your concert?
Oh yeah, we're
Clips
doing the
and all
whole kit
that?
and caboodle. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If they don't know about it, then we haven't done our role. But we've done our role, then I guess they just chose not to go. But yeah, they should know about it.
One last question. You worked with a lot of kids in this film, and I thought it was amazing how it was so cohesive, and these kids were wonderful. Have they connected you, the roles that you guys are now? Are they connected with you? Are they getting
Oh yeah, I mean there was definitely something. JJ, who plays my character in the film, he I remember the first time I met him, he was like, "You're the real Luke." And that was a sweet moment. They really they looked up to us, and obviously they're playing us as kids.
Yes.
And I gotta hand it to those kids. There's a lot of rules obviously when you're doing a SAG shoot, that how long they can film for and all of the different things, and it is a huge obstacle to try and get everybody to be able to do the things that they need to do. But they did outstanding. They worked incredibly hard. There was people warned us. They'll say, "You'll never make another movie with kids in it."
Yes.
And the truth is, it has its moments, but the payoff was so rich to see, because I think you understand, other kids in their own families are saying, man, that kid's like 10 and he's doing that? I mean, what can I do as a 10-year-old? And we got to put those stories on display for other people, because that's what inspires. That's what makes people start asking themselves the question of, well, what can my family look like?
Right.
What can I do in my family? And I think that's a really wonderful thing and an important thing.
And the kids working together to make money and to help the parents and to do chores and do things like they clean toilets. They clean, I mean, I was shocked because I'd only known Rebecca from being who she was and you guys and following that, not really knowing the backstory. And you so much appreciate what you guys are doing now more than ever. What you came out of. So, God bless you and everything you're doing.
Thank you, Holly.
Any other
Thank you for
movies or
having us.
anything? Oh, I am delighted. Anything else you guys have coming up?
Well, there's always things.
We're focused on this for the moment.
Focused
on this inspired by in the film, and you'll hear more when we're ready to share it.
Don't quit making movies, okay? You
Try
make
not
great
to.
films. You make great films and music as well. God bless you.
Thanks.
Thank
You as
you
well.
guys for
Thank
joining
you.
me.
Holly, that was a coup that we were able to get these interviews at NRB.
It was. I mean, not many people got them, and they did perform their song "Unsung Hero." You guys pull that song up and listen to it. It's emotional. It makes me tear up every time. It's a great song. They did play that at NRB. There was some screenings, but very few people had the interview, and Faith on Film got it, and I was very excited about that. It was fun. It was great. I mean, and you were a big part of that, Isaac, to make that camera work and get the great equipment and get it set up. There was an interesting story that I told to them that was off camera, so it's not part of the interview. But I think it's interesting, and it was fun for me. Their sister, Rebecca St. James, who this movie is about, and her rise in her career. Back in the 90s, I think it was 96, actually, I was a talk show host at KKLA Radio in Los Angeles, and I had a show. And so I would go out and do what they call remotes, where you appear different places. And they said, Holly, you're going to get to do a remote on New Year's Eve and do a countdown from Knott's Berry Farm with Rebecca St. James. Well, she was huge at that time. I'm like, yes, it was a coup for me. And I was like, yay, I get to do that interview. So, the countdown. So it was hours before I took my kids, to the Knott's Berry Farm. And of course, they had fun riding rides and doing everything till midnight. And then she and I got up there with it 10, 9, 8, 7, did the countdown. While they were doing that, the kids were there. And then she did a concert after. Oh. And so my kids went backstage and they were having fun with these guys playing their drums. Her little brothers and her family was there and they were playing drums and doing stuff. Okay. Years later, so recently, my son said to me, like last fall, he goes, hey, Mom, guess what? And he lives in Franklin, Tennessee. He goes, some neighbors of ours built this music studio, and guess who came? For King and Country came to their house, and they did a practice or something with their music equipment. I'm like, really? And he goes, yeah. And I go, well, Adam, when you were little, you played with them. And he goes, what do you mean? I go, well, you were like playing on the drums and playing backstage, and you were playing. And I told this story to Joel and Luke. And my son said, wait, what? I go, yeah, when I did the countdown with Rebecca St. James, those were her little brothers. That was for King and Country you were playing with backstage. My son went, are you kidding me? He flipped out. And I told him this story. And both Joel and Luke just started laughing, going, oh my gosh, I remember that. We remember being at Knott's Berry Farm. We remember that. And I said, I know. Can you believe it? And then Joel said, okay, Holly, how did you connect that from us there to being King and Country now? And I go, Joel, I've always watched you guys. I knew all along you were the little brothers and that you had, I saw at the beginning of your careers. I said, I also cast your sister, Rebecca St. James, in the movie Frontier Boys, which was, years later, but the Frontier Boys, she played the lead. They go, yeah, we remember that. I said, so all along I've connected with your family and kept in touch. And I said, and I am so proud of your rise to who you guys are today, because back then you were playing and you were her backup band. They go, yeah, we used to play with her. So it was really fun to connect that story. And they did a shout out. They go, hey, Adam, good to see you. And they did a shout out for him, which he was, of course, very proud of. So it was kind of fun telling that whole connecting Rebecca St. James from the 90s, which she and I did something together to today, and then seeing this movie. And it's such a good movie, Isaac. Yes. There's a scene where the mom, and I can see why she was an unsung hero, because they came to America and then they lost, I won't spoil it for anyone, they lost an opportunity to make money. So they had no money. Mm-hmm. They were in a house with no furniture. They had no job, no car. And literally, they were going out and kind of selling things and trying to, do yard work. They were maids, they did toilet work, whatever they could do to make money to just buy food on the table. So there was a lot of lean and bleak times right there. The dad was out working, so the mom had these children. They said they would use clothing as their beds, and fold up clothing and sleep on their clothing, and they depend on donations from the church, where that's where the church couple come in. So you'll see an interesting thing how the church really intervened. But it was a good story. There's a scene where she's in the park with the kids, and she realizes she's depressed and kind of down, but she realizes she can't let these kids be depressed. And she said, let's play a game. Let's play a game where we're burning the ships. And she was trying to raise their spirits to say, whatever comes against you, you can stand. The Lord is with you. The Lord is with us. We can stand against anything. So it's got a great, sweet spiritual message, as well as a great mother message. Perfect movie for Mother's Day. I'm telling you, if you don't go for the opening weekend, take your mom, grandmother, or whatever, go for Mother's Day. This is a perfect Mother's Day movie.
And technically, you just brought out another interesting message that I caught when you were saying it right now, and that is that they came as migrants, okay, and we know that that's a very current issue, but they didn't come here expecting for this country to just kind of rain blessings on them. They went to work, and I remember seeing a scene. The kids were out there, they were mowing lawns. They were going to take care of themselves. They did not expect the government to take care of them. But that's a whole other story anyway.
There was no government handout. They didn't expect any handouts. They didn't even beg a church to do anything. I mean, they were really there doing yard work and like you said, maid work and everything else they had to do. But the Lord used those work opportunities to network them with a music producer, because they were in the home, and then network with it, and some other, opportunities, and with the church. And honestly, they came up through their own. And they were proud to be in America. They were proud of their Australian heritage, but they were also proud to be in America. And it's just a great overcoming story. It really, really is. It
is, yeah.
How God worked.
It was kind of nice also seeing other people that were a part of that story that are people that we know, like Carmen. Carmen was, in essence, in the story. God rest his soul.
God rest his soul. Boy, is he a part of their story. We won't read it for you, but he's a pretty big part of their story. Why they were in the situation they were in, which is funny, because I asked David, the father, I said, David, years later, did you ever get to talk to Carmen and smooth that over? He goes, oh yeah. Eventually we were able to talk, and he apologized. And we won't tell you why, you got to see the movie, but he goes, he apologized, and we talked about it. He goes, and we smoothed it over. He goes, years later, we were able to do that. So it's funny. But it's just a great story to bring story together and show families what each family member has a part in playing with a family to do. It wasn't just the mom and dad, wasn't just Rebecca, wasn't just how every member of the family came together to make it possible for this family to be united. I just love that story.
That's fantastic. Well, again, Unsung Hero coming to theaters April 26th. And then what happens, Holly?
I think they're going to get it in theaters, as many as they can, and see how long it'll go. And then if they can't, they'll be figuring out another way to stream it. But it's going to be a popular movie. They've been promoting this all over the place. I'm telling you, people are lining up to see it in theaters. They really are. It's popular.
I certainly hope so, yes. Now, I've already seen it, and I got to tell you folks, you don't want to miss this movie. Great movie. All righty. Well, Holly, that's the end of this show today. And I'm so glad you were able to sit with these guys and have just such a wonderful interview. They're the neatest guys.
They are the neatest guys, and we're so proud to promote this movie because it represents everything good about God's kingdom and what kingdom and what they're doing with their ministry and their music.
Amen. Well, folks, don't forget to check out our website, FaithUnfilmedTV.com. That's FaithUnfilmedTV.com. And, of course, go to our YouTube channel and look up for Faith on Film TV and just hit that little subscribe button. All right, Holly.
Blessings.
Bye-bye now.
Write to us at faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. That's faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Faith on Film TV. Also, go to our YouTube channel, Faith on Film TV, and hit the subscribe button and the bell for notifications on our latest Faith on Film shows.